Yeah, so you're not going to be that much.
I mean, when that beeps, that's okay, the timer, and I don't like sitting higher than you.
You don't sit higher than me. You sit even with me. Your head's as even as I am. So, I think Michelle's that you? Somebody's watching. Because I don't get any feedback yet. I don't know if it's making it into the room yet or not.
Has it been on a minute?
Yeah. Turn my phone off. Let's see. Michelle, are you there? Or Jolene? I just need to make sure that we're live in the room. Do we have anybody yet? Let's see. Nobody's chatting. Nobody's giving a thumbs up across the bottom. Nobody's giving us a thumbs down. So I don't guess there's anybody here yet. We got one eyeball showing, so if anybody wants to comment, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the comments enough across it or not. So let's see. We're there. All right. Jolene, I guess you approved it, so we are live. Good deal. I was hoping to be some others jump on here real quick. We'll give it just a few minutes, maybe another minute. Oh, now we got 3. We're going. All right, good deal. If you've got questions, throw them on the comment section of it, and we'll try to keep ahead of it. And Jolene, I'm assuming that you're on here, and Michelle, hey, how you doing, little lady? What a fine group you've got here. You saved my life with this keto, and this one here, she's happy. I'm happy too, because she's going to be one of your poster children for keto. You dropped a pant size in what, 2 months? A full pant size. So I mean, we're excited as heck about keto, and we're good. So now we know we're on here. So hey, Jolene, if you don't mind, I'm going to have to run this thing comment wise. So I'm not going to pay attention to the comments, but if you see something, you can either private message me or something just to keep me abreast of what's going on. And hey, well, I mean, see Jolene pop down there. So I'm going to let you, if you don't mind, Jolene, I'm going to let you run the comment section of it, because that's how it'll work. It works really well when someone else other than one of us is trying to keep an eye on that. And in fact, it's a distraction when I see people over here, but since I don't really know a lot of people here, I'm just going to talk to the group. So, hey, my name is Buddy Black, and a lot of people call me the gallbladder guru because of my unfortunate incident that happened in my life. And there's, is that Michelle? Oh, okay. You can't comment, Michelle, but she can hear. So awesome. So, guys, we appreciate you so much, and we just want to be able to share our story and tell you how, 3 years ago, I had gallbladder surgery in the spring of 2015 or 2014. Well, anyway, to go through this without driving you crazy, because I'm going to tell my quick story because it was bad. I mean, it was really, really bad. And then we're going to branch out into keto real quick and how it's done a really great job for us. So the story that I'm going to go with is I've been battling gallbladder illness probably for a decade. And I mean, literally just misdiagnosed like 2 or 3, or at least 3 times or more. And, we hate that kind of stuff, but mine ended up being a horror story. So, misdiagnosed, get a little bit closer here. Yeah, I was misdiagnosed by 3 different doctors. And in the course of doing so, my gallbladder went sepsis. And what had happened was I tried to do a natural cleanse, because I'm as all the natural as I can get, trying to be anyway. And I'll try to do a natural, what they call a gallbladder flush and a gallbladder cleanse. On my day trade, I'm a chemist and a scientist in a fertilizer company. And so I know all about analyticals and whatnot. So I had done a flush and a cleanse. I'd taken my gallstones that I had gotten, and I took them to the lab and analyzed them. And they were not gallstones. They weren't cholesterol, and they weren't pigment stones. They were soft and mushy, and they were not gallstones. But what happened in the middle of that is one of those real small, oh, go get mine over there. I had 24 stones, 4 of them the size of marbles, one small stone, they're in the cabinet right there, Terry. Yeah, no, right there, all the way in the back. And one of the small stones had gotten out of my, the bile duct and had gotten down to the sphincter of Oddi, which is literally a one-way valve where your bile drips into your system and into your intestine. It got hung up there. And what happened was the bile dripping from the liver, bypassing the bad gallbladder, dripping in there, it backed up into my pancreas, and it actually, hey, Michelle, how you doing, little lady? So here we are. So in the middle of this whole thing, I end up with severe severe pancreatitis. I ended up with a sepsis gallbladder and didn't know how close to death I really was. And I started really visiting the ER. That last week was like every other day or every day, and it was crazy. And finally, my surgeon came in and said, dude, we're taking this thing out whether you like it or not. They took the gallbladder out. When they got it out, they're like, holy crap, guys, this thing was sepsis. So that threw my kidneys, it threw my liver, it threw my pancreas, my spleen was swollen. I mean, what they call the band, which is right underneath your rib cage, all that was just swollen. I looked like I had a spare tire around me, and it wasn't. It was freaking all my intestines all my organs were swollen. And so we got through that. And so the surgeon turned around, and I'm not going to give you, I'm just going to give you generic terminology tonight. I agree to do that, and I don't have an issue being able to do that. I'm not going to show you what brands I use. I'm going to tell you what products I used, but not by name. And because I'm going to be fair to everybody. Hey, Vonda, how you doing, little lady? She's the one that started this whole thing with me, and she believed in me. And so this whole deal of the gallbladder going sepsis threw my kidneys out of whack. My urine was different colors. Obviously, my stool was different colors and different textures. And as a scientist and chemist, I record everything. And I didn't know what I was dealing with, to be honest with you. I had not a clue that it was that bad. And so anyway, we get through the surgery. But my doctor tells me, hey, don't worry about adding supplements into your life. I actually asked, I said, should I take some supplements? He said, don't do anything. What you need to do is just go home and rest and heal up. And by doing so, your body will adjust. And I'm like, okay. But I had read horror stories of people having really bad issues, and I wanted to be able to help them. And when I say help them, help myself, I was like, I don't want to deal with what they dealt with. But unfortunately, I found myself one day, I am doing that. I'm camped out on the commode after eating even just a burger, not even a keto, anything. I didn't even know about keto then, but I was having these major issues. So we go in, we've done that. So now I got to clean up my system. I take a lot of natural products. My wife and I both use a lot of natural products. And we turned around, and in the middle of all that, it took me a good month of taking heavy doses of good supplements to get my liver clean and to get my spleen and to clean my blood and to get my kidneys back in operation. And in a month's time, the surgeon actually just flat out told me, he said, I've never seen anybody heal up as fast as you healed up. He said, I'm going to sign you off. He goes, you're free to go back to work. Unfortunately, though, I couldn't go back to work because it actually took me about 2.5 months to actually be able to get back to running. I used to run, and I wanted to do it again, and I couldn't do it. Just simply could not do it because I was in such pain. And so, at the end of the day, I'm trying to live a life, but I can't live it because I'm so poisoned. But then in a month's time, I get that over. Well, I'm still hurting because of the gallbladder issues or the lack of gallbladder issues. So I heal up. I go back to work. Then I'm just noticing that when I eat anything fatty, bacon was off the chart. Forget I can't have bacon. I could have anything, and all of a sudden I'm realizing that what I'm doing is I can't eat anything with any kind of grease in it or any kind of oil. I could barely do a little bit of olive oil, and I could barely do a little bit of the we were doing the MCT oil, but we didn't. Or you were cooking with coconut oil. trying to help on the cholesterol, because the doctor had ordered me do nothing but go low fat, medium carbs, and you're going to have to get rid of your fatty liver, because that was the last diagnosis I got. Was I had a start of NALFD, which is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Hell, I didn't know what that was. I had no clue what that was. So I'm doing the research on it, and I'm like, okay, well, non-alcoholic, I get that crap, but what is it? And then come to find out, it's carbs. And I'm like, well, doc, the low fat is not doing me any good. So, I mean, I'm arguing with my doctors. They're arguing with me about my diet. And this is pre-keto. This was just trying to get me through this. So I go through, and there's a picture somewhere. If you want me to post it, I will. I went through 18 months. I vowed I'm not going to live this life of camped out on the toilet, because I know there's got to be a better way. There's no way in hell anybody can live like this. One, I'm dealing with the chronic diarrhea that I'm dealing with, and the much issues I'm dealing with. I know I got malnutrition. I know it. My skin feels different. My eyes were drying out. I was having brain fog. I was having so many bad issues. It was crazy. Well, in doing it, trying to figure this whole thing out, I went through probably dang near $1,000 worth or more of supplements in 18 months. I mean, if it was on Amazon or on a private page, I was buying it. I mean, it was like, okay, they say this gallbladder formula. They say this for fat. They say this for sugars. They say this for carbs. I'm doing it, and I'm going, but then I'm tearing the ingredients apart and trying to figure out what they're doing to try to do it in my system. I could find something to help me for a little while, but I couldn't find a whole lot. But I knew I had to get there, because I was bound and determined. There was no way I was going to live a life of let me eat and 10 minutes later. And what really struck me was the more people I talked to, this is the shocker. I didn't know anybody had gallbladder issues. None. Had nobody. But we never talked about it. And then when I had my gallbladder surgery, then we're out to dinner with some friends, and we're like 6 of us sitting at a table. And they're like, so what surgery you go through? And I'm like, a gallbladder surgery. And hell, almost every table, yep, I've had it out. And I'm like, do you have diarrhea every meal? Oh, yeah, it's just something I deal with. It's something I deal with. Now, this one hasn't. She's perfect. She's got digestion like you would. I mean, everybody wants to be like her, I can tell you. That's just crazy. But that's the whole, I was like, well, what kind of life is that, to live that? Because whenever you got diarrhea and it's coming through you like that, what do you know? Malnutrition, you're not absorbing, you're dehydrating. So there's a whole host of cascading problems that happen when you have that. So I vowed to stop that. So I go through the whole deal, and I start taking these supplements, and I narrow these supplements down. And and at the end of the day, with your gallbladder being gone, it's not working there. That's why I said somebody's got to do this, because I've got that turned off. At the end of the day, you've got to have ox bile to replace the bile that was in your gallbladder. Now, your liver, every day it's producing around a quart of bile that literally drips like dripping a faucet into their system. Before, it dripped into the duct and it went through. And I'm not going to get too technical with you, but the gallbladder condenses half of that bile. It condenses a pint of it into really high dense laundry detergent, like Dawn dishwashing soap. That's the easiest way to explain it. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it gets the grease out. That's what it's made to do. It's made to break it down. Then in the pancreas, the enzymes in the pancreas, which are lipase and amylase and protease and a bunch of others, the lipase, it turns around and it mixes with that fat or those fat molecules, and it breaks it down even further. And that's what helps us to stop having diarrhea. But more importantly, it's what it helps us to take the fat up and for our bodies to assimilate it and to use it. When you don't have a gallbladder, all that's gone. When that bile is just steadily dripping, it's bile, but it's not concentrated. And when you eat that concentrated meal, i.e. that burger, or, hey, Bulletproof coffee, love the crap out of that. When you take that in and you partake of that, all of a sudden your body needs that influx of bile. So thus we take a capsule of ox bile. Now, I started out at 125, and I found out real quick that I need 500 to be able to go through a meal. So I get ox bile off of Amazon or different places. Now we're going into our keto. If natural, you need a 125 ox bile just to replace it. If you're not on keto and you just want to have a traditional diet, if you eat a fatty meal, so you're going to eat a burger and some fries or whatnot, and I'm not advocating that this is keto, but I'm just being real here for people out there. Is if you're going to eat a burger and some other stuff, you need to be able to break that down, assimilate it, and get the nutrients out of it, and do what needs to be done. Right? We know we need to do that. Bile is one of the most important products our body produces to help with digestion. And they tell you that bile is no big deal, that your body will adjust. Well, I told my doctor he's full of shit. Sorry, but he was. That's just, I get really brash about this because it upsets me, because nobody warns you what's going to happen. So I was dealing, after I got out of the surgery and I healed up, now I'm dealing with all these malnutritions. I'm dealing with all this other kind of stuff. I've got to worry about what's going on. So I fixed that. I start working on the bile. Well, then I realized I need more than just bile. And then I needed to put in digestive enzymes. So I go out and I find digestive enzymes, and what you want is digestive enzymes in one hand and you want bile in the other, and you want to be able to blend them your way. The best thing I can tell you is now this is for people that don't have a gallbladder. If you can take a 125 ox bile, and that's why I tell everybody to try this. I know with my body, I need a 500 with, like eating keto, I've got to have a 500 for breakfast. I've got to have a 500 for dinner. I eat a very, very, very light lunch. But anything real fatty, I got to have a 500 milligrams of ox bile to make that, my digestion proper. And I mix that. I mix that. I got 2 capsules of enzymes that I take. I take a short duration enzyme. I take a long duration enzyme. So it gets down into my small intestine and helps me. I take those 2 products, and then I take an ox bile. And so I end up with 3 pills every meal, and every big fatty meal. I take enzymes every meal, irregardless if I'm eating fat or not. If I'm eating just a lightweight salad or something that doesn't have a lot of fat to it, and I'm not talking just keto, but everything, I even take an enzyme for that. Enzymes are not going to hurt you. They're going to help your digestion, period. I mean, they're just going to help you. Your body's not going to turn around and not digest and not make enzymes, because it's a totally different mechanism. It's all hormonal that makes you put out digestive enzymes. And so it's got nothing to do with that. People think, if I take these enzymes, my body's going to stop producing it. That's not true. I've found good doctors now that help me. But more importantly, I've got dietitians. Good dietitians are what saved my life, because these dietitians, they know all about bile. They know about supplements. And so all of a sudden, I'm really leaning on my dietitians. So at the end of the day, I go through all these issues. I have my surgery. I've found a way to exist, and then I just tweak and tweak and tweak, and you tone that down until you find out what works for you. So like I'm saying, I bought 125 ox bile. I found out 125 wasn't enough, so I took 2, which gave me 250. Then I took 3, which gave me 450 or 300. So I kept working my way through it until I found what size I needed. Then I found out I can actually buy ox bile in a 500 milligram capsule. Take that aside. That's your bile that replaces what was in your gallbladder that's now gone. Or I can tell you, if you got a low functioning gallbladder, same difference. If you're going through the motions, so now we're going to talk poo, okay? We're going to be micro. We're going to talk about poo. If you're out of gallbladder surgery and you're trying to figure this thing out, you're eating keto, if your bowel movements are watery and they burn and they've got a little bit of fecal material in them, that's bile. Okay, that means you've got a little bit too much bile in your body. And hey, I know, because I've overdosed myself on bile. I know what it's like to go over. But I also know what it's like to go under. Bile is one of those tricky ones you got to play around with. And that's why I tell you to get a low dose and then add them up until you find out what works for your body. Because everybody is going to be different the way their system is. So being able to do that, though, you add your body back in, or add your bile back into your digestive system, And so, okay, Michelle says yellow stool was hers. Yellow is a prime indicator of non-digested fats, pure and simple. Non-digested fats mean the bile could be breaking it down to some extent, but the lipase in the pancreas wasn't enough to finish the breakdown. And so thus it goes into your body, and then you end up with a yellow stool. And so, it is, the high fat is due to your keto, Michelle, but it's the digestion. And the key is, just like I told you, I said, if you'll find a good digestive enzyme and you'll find ox bile, you'll find a way to make these work. And that it's kind of like having an arsenal of tools in the toolbox. I mean, one day you may need a 1/2 wrench and one day you may need a 1 inch. It just depends on what you're doing. But they're great for you to have, especially us keto people now. It's great for us to have in our toolbox because we can turn around and we can move with it, and we can eat keto. And that's what my doctor, he really was freaking out when I told him I was going to do keto. And he's like, dude, you're going to freaking feel your fat, your liver's going to get fatter. And I mean, everything you can, I don't have to tell you guys, you've heard it. And, then I learned, and we'll go to the dietitian, and they're like, no, that's not the truth. Well, I started on the keto, and my non-alcoholic fatty liver went away. Surprise. And I got a clean bill of health. And I dropped 40, right at 4. I think I'm down 40 pounds from the surgery now. But I've probably lost about 10 pounds, maybe 15, maybe 10 pounds in keto. I'm going slow.
You lost the size, though.
Well, I did. Yeah, I lost the size. So I've learned, don't worry about poundage, go by sizes and inches and all that kind of stuff. And in my system, I've learned where I need to play around with, so now I can just tweak and fine tune it, and I know what I'm eating in my meals and whatnot. And I'm really feeling better. Brain fog's gone. I've knocked out, when I was in for gallbladder surgery, they had me on 9 different medications, including statins and everything else, because my cholesterol was too high. Well, here's something to know about gallbladders, guys. The number one indicator of a gallbladder is too much estrogen. You ladies know all about this because your cycle comes around, and when your estrogen goes high and then comes back down. But isn't it interesting that most women suffers from gallbladder issues because they've been pregnant, or they have really bad menses, really bad issues. That's because of the high estrogen. I was estrogen dominant. I didn't even know it. I had no clue. I went to her bioidentical hormone therapist or specialist, and he checked me, and I didn't even have any testosterone in my body. I knew something was weird after the surgery. This is months. This is like 6-7 months after the surgery. I had no clue. But I had no sex drive. I had no libido. I had nothing. I didn't care, though. Just didn't care. Come to find out, my testosterone was gone. My DHEA was gone. And all of that, when they checked everything, I found these dietitians and I found these people that do the hormones for me. They ran a trace, and what they found was that my adrenal glands had blown out prior to my gallbladder surgery because of the amount of stress and pain that I was under. I literally blew them out. Well, by blowing them out, it curved my gallbladder. It shut my gallbladder down. What high estrogen does is
it's a domino effect.
Yeah, it just cascades everywhere. No one told me that. My doctors were just like, hey, okay, now we know it's your gallbladder, get it out. Well, that wasn't the issue. It's kind of like, okay, we know you've got a broken leg. Well, what broke it? Well, we don't care what broke it. We just got to give you some pills to help get over it. And I'm not bashing doctors, but I kind of am because they abandoned me. But at the end of the day, we got fixed. We're on keto. And we know their hormonal is in the middle of this stuff, so we get the hormones fixed, and we start backfilling these pathways, and we start working with the hormonal side of things. And all of a sudden, the weight starts dropping off. Your thyroid was a little off. She has to take a thyroid med. And he told me I had to tweak my testosterone. I have to take shots every day. So the end of the day, though, we balanced, and things worked out they're working out extremely well. And my story, I tell it everywhere I go because it almost killed me.
It took us getting our hormones balanced to get the full effect from the keto.
Yeah.
We weren't losing weight because our hormones were so out of kilter.
Right. Yeah, because you did on her own. You know, she doesn't have these issues because she still got her gallbladder, but she was having digestion issues. But she was still, you know, I mean, a year ago you wouldn't know her. She was like dying to get out of pain. It says, and you know, she get out of bed in the morning, she was like dying. I mean, she just like, oh my God, I don't want to move, you know. And then it was one. We were on an extreme low fat diet. Doctors were like, I don't want you on any fat, because the fat's making you fat. Basically, what we didn't know then, that's what they were telling us. We know better than that now. But she started adding fat back, and we went to keto. We were like, okay, we've heard about this, and we've heard about it. I got in your group here. I got in, I think it was this one. It was the only one I was in at the beginning. And I didn't know jack crap about this stuff, and I started thinking about it and looking at it and studying it. It makes perfect sense. Makes absolute perfect freaking sense. And when we went keto, I felt so much better. But then all of a sudden my digestion issues started. Well, then I'm really, okay, I don't have enough ox bile. My stools are yellow and they come on fast. I mean, I can eat and I mean, it's gone. When that happened, I knew from my trial and error, just add another bile. Oh, that ain't enough. Add another one. And finally, I ended up with 500. And I'm like, man, my digestion's perfect. I mean, absolutely freaking perfect. But I take the same amount of enzymes irregardless. And at night, I end up taking, I've got a liver support that I take. And it's got dandelion root and milk thistle and beetroot and some other stuff. But I take a liver support at night. And I also take a good high quality probiotic at night as well. And I mean, I can't tell you how happy I am with this thing, because everything works great, everything feels great, and I'm losing weight. And more importantly, here's something I hadn't posted this. When you don't have bile in your system, or the appropriate amount of bile, I was taking 20,000. My doctor was telling me, you're 20,000. Your vitamin D is almost not registered. And I was like 30. And he said, we got to get it up. So he puts me on 20,000 units a day of B or D, so D3. And I'm taking K with that. So I got D and K. My eyes are hurting from what I didn't know at that time. Fat soluble vitamins, A, E, D, K, omega-3, omega-6. What's the other ones? There's cysteine and there's a bunch of other steins that are fat soluble. If you don't have the correct bile coming out in concentration when you eat, you don't get those. They literally go right through you. I mean, they go right in your stool and they go right out. I was taking 20,000 prescription units of vitamin D, D3, and I think 5,000, or I can't remember, it wasn't 5,000. It was a lot of K. And my doctor couldn't believe. He was checking, because of my hormones being out of whack, he was doing a full blood workup every month, and I could track everything that was going on in my body. And I'm taking all this stuff, and they're blown away because I'm not getting anywhere. My D's not going anywhere. Nothing is climbing. The reason it wasn't climbing, I wasn't taking bile. And all of a sudden, when I ran it across my dietitian, and I'm like, why in the hell can I not get my freaking D up, my K up? I can't get my copper up. I can't get my zinc to move. I can't get my B to move. Nothing would move. And the dietitian came back and said, let's do something. They did a digestive check on me, and because I didn't have enough bile, I wasn't assimilating my vitamins. Bingo. Started taking bile, and guess what happened? My skin cleared up. I mean, I collagen. I lost all my collagen in my skin. I had old people's skin. It looked like I was freaking 80 years old. My face looked weird. I'd get out of the shower, and she'd be like, oh, my gosh, your skin just scares me. Oh, another thing. I had dandruff like you wouldn't freaking believe. And they're like, why aren't you? I mean, they're like giving me treatments for dandruff and everything else. It wasn't dandruff. It was freaking, I wasn't assimilating the right amount of fat in my body. I'm eating it, but I ain't getting it. Then, thank God, I go to keto, and once we go into the keto deal, I mean, quickly, the brain fog leaves, everything else, but I'm still having to deal with a little bit of diarrhea at the end of my ox bile again. Boom, I'll set level perfect at 500 milligrams of ox bile, breakfast and dinner with my 2 largest meals a day, and along with my enzymes. and there ain't nothing wrong with me. I mean, my D level is like 75 now or something like that. My B's are fine. My eyes are fine. No more dry eye. No more nothing. I mean, it's beautiful. I got calcium in my body now. I've got potassium, magnesium. I'm taking all those, doing my with electrolytes and all that kind of stuff, drinking my pickle juice or whatever, I need. But the bile is the big freaking factor that you got to play around with. And you have to play around with it because not everybody's the same. But you have to have it. Now, you may be on the other side, so I'm going to address that real quick. If you happen to be one of those blessed individuals that you don't need bile, that your liver's putting out enough all the time, so let's just say you're eating and your stool's not yellowy and it's not greasy, it literally is like acid running through you. That's too much bile. And if that's happening with no supplements, you have to put high fiber. You've got to find a way to eat a lot of spinach, especially whatever we can eat keto. I mean, I eat a ton of spinach. I mean, I love spinach. But you're going to have to go high fiber and eat pecans. Pecans are good up to your, watch your macros and stuff, but still pecans are really, really extremely high in fiber. So that, without being, I'm not a big keto expert, okay? You guys are much more knowledgeable about that than I am, and I'm sure that Michelle and Jolene and all of them can help you do that. But at the end of the day, if you happen to be one that's making plenty of bile, you gotta bind it up, okay? And so you've got to end up with something like that. So if your stool's yellow, it's going to be because you're not digesting your fats properly. So you need a good digestive enzyme. Enzymes will help do it, but they help it. So real quick, your food comes through your system. The bile would squirt onto your fatty product. The fatty material would turn around and emulsify, let's just say from 10 points to 50. Well, the lipase out of your pancreas comes in and takes that 50 down to 100 microns. Now your body can assimilate it. But so you still have to have your digestive enzymes to work with the bile that came in. Okay, it's important to do that. So when you add those together, I mean, you've got something that can't be beat, and you have to play around with formulations. So I think I'm done with my story. I'm healed up. Everything's good. It's been 3 years post-op, and I'm on keto. We've been keto now for just a little over 2 months.
2 full months.
Two full months. We played around with it before. We didn't really know what we were doing, but I mean, hey, we took it to the doctor, and the doctor's like, no.
The big thing for you is you found that not having a gallbladder, you can do keto successfully. So I think there's probably a lot of people that, because of the high fat, if they don't have a gallbladder, they think, oh, I can't do keto because it's too much fat without the gallbladder. But you have found a way that works, and it's proven.
Absolutely. And that's what I want to share. And whenever I shared it with Michelle, I tell you, she was talking about it in the group somewhere and all. And I get in these groups and I just want to help, because I can tell you, I had no help on gallbladder issues. I mean, I couldn't talk to my doctors. I couldn't talk to any of my friends. I couldn't talk to anybody. I felt like I was all alone. But I would vow, I am not going to live this way of eating any meal, keto or not, just any meal. And 10 minutes after I eat, I'm in the bathroom, going through these huge cramps of either bloating or gas and just hurting, and not from an attack, but just your body's hurting. There's no way in hell I'm going to live that way. I'm going to fix it, for me at least. And when I fixed it, and let me tell you, it fixed so well, I realized when I got into where my BMs are supposed to be natural BMs, I realized I'd been suffering from this for over a decade. And I had not a clue. It was my gallbladder going slow, going out, and it was screwing up my bile, which was screwing up everything else. So I don't know. I'm trying to look here real quick. Let's see. All right. Mine is, okay, my system, there it is. All right. Okay, so Michelle popped up and said the low vitamin K is bruising. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, those are some great points to be in there, but you got to, that's another thing I was going to tell you. I tell this to everybody. When you're going to, for you with no gallbladder, I would strictly and forcefully tell you, get blood work. Get blood work to see where you're at, because you will be amazed. More than likely, if you're having any kind of digestion issue or anything, you're going to be amazed at how deficient you are. And the fact that our bodies will adjust to it, that's no, right. It ain't going to adjust.
They adjust to going to the bathroom.
Right.
All the time.
Exactly. And I don't want that for you. So that's why I share what I'm doing. That's why I asked Michelle, I said, hey, guys, if you guys would let me in your group. Because in every keto group, and I think I'm only in 2 or 3, but in this group, it's a large group. And I was in here, and, you just search and see gallbladder, and bless your hearts, there's people that are going like, I've had a gallbladder out for 4 years, and I still go, I can't eat keto, or I'm trying to, and you're struggling. I'm telling you, get the bile, get the enzymes, and, just do it. Just do it and start experimenting and take time with your body to understand what your body's doing. So, all right, throw some questions at me if you don't mind, either Michelle or Jolene, I don't care. If you want to type them or if you want to send them via text or whatever to Terry, and or this one, it's my phone. So,
in the low iron, I was deficient in iron, and I have a gallbladder, but because of all the female hormones that were so out of whack, that I had very, very little iron. So we found a good supplement. So I take a lot of iron.
Okay, and we've got one that said something about my cholesterol. Megan, what I was telling you about the cholesterol is, and this is something I didn't know. My cholesterol was high when I was going through all my issues with my gallbladder. My cholesterol was high, and yeah, you're right, Michelle. They do not turn around, and they don't happen overnight. If you get it right, you might get lucky and do it. But on keto, you're going to have to take some time to figure out where your ox bile and where your enzymes are going to sit. But what I was going to tell you is this: going back to cholesterol. Cholesterol is the first oil base in our blood where our hormones originate from. So if your cholesterol is extremely high, and I say one thing could be making you high. Now, like for me, remember I told you I wasn't producing testosterone or DHEA. Well, my cholesterol was high because I wasn't using it. That blew my mind. So this whole deal was like, well, no wonder. I get it now. But see, the doctors, all they did was, hey, here's statins, and here's double statins, and here's another blood pressure medicine because your blood pressure's high. Well, yeah, my blood pressure's high. My estrogen level, when they finally got to the doctor, and I was no testosterone, I was no DHEA, but I had 4 times the amount of estrogen in my body as a male than I was supposed to have. I was having man boobs. I was having the start of them anyway. I was having brain fog. I was jacked up, to be honest with you. Now everything's so much better, by doing it. So I just wanted to share those with you. So any other questions?
Apple cider vinegar?
Apple cider vinegar is good, but it's good for attacks. It's good to calm things down. Mixed with apple juice. Now, I know for us, we can't do apple juice, so you can water it down, but you need to sip it. But it's really, all it does is really relaxes the liver, and it helps some of the pH balance, obviously, of the stomach, and to help some of those cramps. But if you're going through this, it's not really a good enzyme as a enzyme. Yeah, well, it's not an enzyme. It's not a replacement, because an enzyme has to have so many grams of live bacteria that make it, and then they form the enzyme off of that. And if you look at it, you'll see the different colonies of like the protease and the amylase and the lipase, and there's a bunch of ACEs. The ASE is what they call them. And you can go through there and you can look at it, and they'll tell you how strong they are. And you want a good one. You want one that's got a lot of stuff in it that will be able. But some of the stuff, I'll tell you, on Amazon, it's blended with hydrochloric acid. It wants to help bring your pH of your stomach down. Okay, that's one of the things it does. But also, in the middle of that, there's another product that actually has ox bile in it. So you can take that product, and it's got a little bit of ox bile. It's got 100 milligrams of ox bile blended with enzymes already. But if you're one of those people that didn't have or that has excess bile production, that product will actually make you sick. Yep, it's all about your Michelle. The dandruff is all about your fat assimilation. You're not getting proper fat into your system and into your bloodstream, and you're not utilizing it correctly, and you end up you're drying out. If you'll notice,
it took a long time to figure that one out.
Yeah, that one came through some university study that I was reading about on it, because they were talking about your skin, and it's the collagen in your skin. It's related to that. And my skin was so thin, it looked like my 80-year-old grandmother before she passed, or 90-year-old grandmother before she passed away. And I was worried because I was like, man, I'm 53 years old. I don't want to look like a freaking 90-year-old at 50. You know, I got a life to live, man. You know, it's got to go. So, all right, guys, it's been 40 minutes. Any more questions? I'm looking at this thing to see if anything here. There's Michelle. No, I guess we're good. Is that all you wanted me on here for? Man, come on, beat me up, people. I know there's 11 people watching. I need 11 dead people chiming in. Let's go. I've explained everything so freaking well. So it could be. I mean, there's a study, and it was on that one, and yeah, I'll find that study on psoriasis that talks about it's a condition of your bile. Your bile's not a good quality. And it may be because you have no gallbladder, or maybe you have a low functioning gallbladder or something of that nature. And I will tell you, if you do have a gallbladder and you're watching and you want to make better bile, get a liver supplement. And in that liver supplement, make sure that it's got beetroot juice, beetroot. Make sure it's got your beetroot. Make sure you've got enough dandelion root. Make sure you've got enough milk thistle. And and turmeric. Turmeric is freaking awesome if you have a gallbladder. And if you're trying to increase, let's just say it's a low functioning, and you're trying to increase your bile production, I will tell you to stay away from turmeric, because I've heard more than enough horror stories. Turmeric will actually help it contract. And if you happen to have a low functioning one that's not contracting properly, I mean, you could end up, having a good attack out of it that's going to be there for a while. So if you've got one, kind of calm back on the turmeric. And again, so what I do, and if you saw my brood of stuff over there in my chemistry lab, so to speak, is I buy a lot of stuff singularly so I can dose myself as I need. If I need 100 milligrams of this, or if I need 50 milligrams, or like your zinc and your vitamins and stuff like that, it's okay. But like your turmeric, I want to be able to move that number up and down if I need to. But hey, I'm a freaking chemist and a scientist, so I like being able to play like that. It's not that you have to do it that way. So I'll put that paper. I'll find it somewhere. I've got either a paper, or I've got a screenshot, not a screenshot, but a PDF of it, and I'll just take a picture of it and put it together for you, and I'll drop it in here, because it's so intriguing to me that your gut health, if you don't have enough bile, this is another thing. One of the biggest things that bile does in your body, it is the number one mechanism you've got past the gut. Let's just say you had a bacteria like food poisoning, and it gets into your gut. Bile will be one of those one of those supplements that helps kill bad bacteria. It's a sterilizing product, so it moves through your system sterilizing. And so once it gets out of the duodenum into the small intestine, and here comes the bile, it's made to emulsify fats. It's made to break down proteins and all this, very minimal, because that's why it's interesting, because your liver's on one side of your body, your pancreas is right there connected to it, and when the two of them work together with enzymes and bile, and they combine together, that's what digests your food. I mean, other than what's happened upstream from your salivary glands all the way down to your esophagus and your stomach. Speaking of esophagus, if you have high estrogen, and you ever have an issue where you can't swallow and you're like, this is relaxed, and all of a sudden you take a bite of something and you're eating it, and all of a sudden you're like, I can breathe, but I can't get that food to go on down into my stomach, or I've had GERD, or I've had indigestion, check your estrogen. Dead serious, check it, because the same estrogen that goes high lets this esophageal muscle relax is the same freaking muscle context as the gallbladder, and the gallbladder doesn't contract because it doesn't have the right amount of hormonal action, and that's what makes it, instead of it just like, think of it like a balloon. If you can have a little bitty balloon and you can squeeze it and you can watch all the contents of the balloon blow out, that's what the gallbladder should be doing. Here comes the oil, the fat, and it empties out. But if you've got too much estrogen in your body, now there are other things that can happen. If you got too much estrogen in your body, you can turn. Yeah, you could be Vonda. I mean, there's a lot of the hernias and stuff like that. I've heard. I've read so many freaking papers. It's crazy on this kind of stuff, because one day at a restaurant, I went to eat a piece of steak, and it got right here, and it got hung up, and I was in front of a boatload of people, and I could talk, I could breathe, but I couldn't swallow. And so what I do, I grab a glass of tea, take it down, and all of a sudden tea started just spilling over out of my mouth. I couldn't swallow it. I went outside. I thought, well, I just need to throw up. I couldn't throw up. Nothing would work. My esophagus was relaxed and would not work. I finally sat there and just kept shoving my finger down my throat. It's gross, but I finally got myself to regurgitate enough. I got that out of me. Months later, I'm at home with her, sitting here eating, and it does the same thing. And I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on with my body that's making it do this? And it come to find out, that's when I found out about the high estrogen. I had just found out I had 4 times the estrogen in my body. And it's that kind of crap no one tells you. And if you talk to your GP about it, they're like, you're just crazy. It's all in your head. Yeah, keep smoking what you're smoking, doc, because that's exactly what you're doing. Because I don't.
So you got some other questions.
So a hiatal hernia, yeah, Vonda, she can do that. So yes, leaky gut and ulcers can benefit too. The leaky gut and the ulcers, a lot of that times, those bacteria that has happened in the pH balance of the gut has happened because you don't have enough bile. You got to have more bile in order to make that leaky gut heal itself and the ulcers heal themselves. But leaky gut is the more beneficial bacteria you got. So the probiotics at night are extremely helpful to you. The enzymes, as they work through the system, through your digestion, those are good for you. And I have found some enzymes that have a pre and a probiotic blended with them. There's nothing wrong with those either. If that's what you want to take. The big connector is making sure that you've got those really good lipase, amylase, and I'll throw a graphic in here that shows you what needs to be in a good enzyme to be balanced for you, and just read the labels, and go that route.
Sporadic gallbladder pain.
Is it
oxbol be good for that?
No, it won't help on the pain, Vonda, because the oxbol is just replacing what it should be. The sporadic gallbladder pain, the best I found was apple cider vinegar and some type of juice. Now, you only took the juice simply because you just needed it to carry the bitter stuff, but also like pickles. Pickle juice helps with that gallbladder pain a little bit, and it depends on what kind of pain it is. If it's a sharp pain and it's something that you ate, like a fat or a sugar.
Yeah, but when you were going through your experiences, would some pickle juice when you had those episodes?
No, but it depends. That's what I'm saying. It depends on what your pain is emitting from. What happened with mine is I had went through a flush, and what unbeknownst to me, there you go. I'll show it better. There you go. One of those little guys got out of my gallbladder, come through the bile duct, and got hung up, and it plugged me all the way up. So no bile could get into my body at all. None whatsoever. There you go. See if you can see them. There you go. There's my stone, man. The Rolling Stones. There they are. And they're freaking rocks, too. So there you go. So if people flush them out of their body, They're not flushing these things. I don't care what they say. So, at the end of the day, let's be careful with what we're doing, but let's be cautious. But more importantly, let's really think about what we're doing. And that's why I want to help and be able to tell you this kind of stuff. Because like on that sporadic pain, ox bile, it can help a little bit. And when I say it helps a little bit, Vonda, it's going to help your gallbladder not to produce any because you just replaced it. So if your system senses it's got bile in it, it's not going to expect it coming from the gallbladder, from what I've read.
But if you've got stones, your gallbladder is.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, they told
So-
me. Yeah, my surgeon, who's a great surgeon.
No amount of bile is gonna.
Yeah, he was a straight shooter. He just literally looked me straight in the face and said, "If you got stones, it's either dead or dying." End of story. And he said, "We can surgically cut that little sucker open, take the stones out, wash it out, suture it up." And he said, "It'll build stones again in another year, and you'll be right back in there doing it again." He goes, "So why not just take it out and be done with it?" And what I've read though, if you can control your estrogen. You might be, if you just got a sluggish gallbladder with no stones in it, like I think, Michelle, didn't you say that? Oh, she had 2 large ones. Holy crap. There you go. See, mine were too. My attacks were to the point of debilitating.
Michelle, did you have your gallbladder removed or your
Yeah.
stones removed?
No, she had it taken out. Yeah, I mean, there's very few people will take
Where they'll
just
just take
the
the
stones
stones?
out because they know it's not going to work on you. But you've got to after the stones come out, obviously you got to work it over. All right, so we are at 51 minutes. I told them I wasn't going to go an hour over, so y'all just throw some more stuff at me, and we'll eat this thing up. Laparoscopic. Yep, that's what they did with mine, and
That's pretty incredible.
oh yeah, and. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, they blow you up like a balloon and go in there and pick and cauterize the wound off your liver. And
Yeah, but yours healed really well.
you took care of me. Well, you did. You used all. She's a natural freak. She's got. I mean, she uses essential oils. She uses a ton of natural stuff, and I mean. That's why I say she used a ton of natural stuff on me to get my liver and my pancreas and my kidneys back functioning in a month's time to do it. So, yeah, there you go. Hello, Diane, and there you go. It is a cool operation. I mean, it beats getting cut wide open, like they used to do it, But I mean, I was back. I could have probably went back to work earlier, but. Again, my whole experience is not conducive. I mean, mine was sepsis, so it was, I had a lot of pains. I had a lot of issues. My blood was contaminated. I had a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I'm live and kicking, and I'm teaching you fine folks maybe something. And, and that's why I turned around and, I got a fan page of my stuff. I stack all, I will tell you, every time I find research, I got a little fan page called the Gallbladder Guru. If you're not a fan of it, become a fan. I don't think they'll mind me doing that. But every bit of the research I get, I grab the paper and I cite my sources and I stick them in there. That's like my library. That's my online library. You can go in there and you can scroll around. You can look at pictures. You can look at PDFs. You can look at videos. And I do all kinds of videos. I did one a little bit ago about digestive enzymes, and I had two big major companies, and I compared them together and to tell you what was going on, what wasn't going on, and all that stuff, and why I choose one over the other, and like the hydrochloric acid in one and not in the other, why they would do that, and just trying to have fun as a scientist, but also show you.
Diane's got a question.
Diane, I have my gallbladder at 92. Hey, we were married in 91, so man, that's a dang near a 30-year-old operation. Keto a little bit over a year. I go back and forth between constipation and explosive diarrhea. Hey, there's no TMI in here, man. It's keto, and we're trying to learn. I said, well, ox bile will definitely help. Diane, as I was telling them, so your explosive diarrhea and your constipation, if your stools are yellowish and you're getting a lot of gas, those are two different things. If you're getting yellow stools or greasy stools, I'm just being honest. If you're getting greasy, oily, yellowish, greenish foamy, sometimes even stools, that's undigested fat. You're not getting a bit of that, but that's what's going. Your body is like, get out of here. We're getting rid of it. If your stools are very liquid, they burn, they've got a high acid content, that's your ox bile. So if your bile content in your body is too high, and so you've had your gallbladder removed, it says, so just take Diane, if she can answer quick enough. If your stools if your explosive diarrhea it burns and it's just like water coming out of you, that's too much bile.
She doesn't have a gallbladder,
right?
So she's not making any.
No, but that means her liver is producing a lot of bile and it's dripping constantly. And what it basically means is, let's just say my faucet drips 1 drip every 1 second, and maybe hers drips 2 drips every second. She's making more bile, but it's running through her system. There's no place to store it and concentrate it. And that could be wreaking havoc on her digestion running through her system. If that's the case, that's where you have to go back in, eat more frequent meals, much, much smaller, and they need to be high in fiber to try to calm try to calm the amount of bile that you're producing. I will say, very few people produce too much bile. Most people don't produce enough, quality bile to be able to digest the fats, especially what we eat on keto.
So for her, it would be more beneficial to start with enzymes.
Everybody, to me, I'll just be brutally honest, everybody needs to be on enzymes, especially on keto. What we're going through, everybody needs to be on enzymes. I mean, it just helps in the digestion process. But on most people, though, need to add in the ox bile and the enzymes together just to make it a more efficient machine. But like with Diane, if I was going to sit here and chat with her and we were having a cocktail or a glass of wine or whatever, we're just sitting across the dinner table talking, and she wanted to share with me the biggest indicator for any of us what comes out the other end is if she said, well, my explosive diarrhea is water and it burns. Too much ox bile. Do you take any bile? No, I don't take any. Okay, well, your system is producing too much bile, so that we can't stop that. The liver's going to produce what it's going to produce. Okay, so that turns around, right, increase your fiber, and you got to do it with broccoli and Brussels sprouts. It's not for me, but it's brown liquid, and I do see what looks like little chunks of yellow, which may be the fat. I can tell you that's if it's brown liquid, more than likely it's not. It's going to be bile. If the biggest thing is if it's watery and it burns. So Diane, it may be that you can try adding. I can tell you right now, you can buy ox bile, 125. Take one of them, and you will know in minutes if that's what's wrong with you. In that regard, because if you're overloaded already, you're gonna hurt, and you're gonna have even more explosive.
Start with I
would start with enzymes. I tell everybody, start with enzymes first. But the big flag. Immediate right now, everybody get on enzymes. That is my 2 cents.
I mean, you would see the results. I mean, you would know.
You would know. You won't see them. You'll feel them, and it may take you a day or two to finally get the full effect because we're on high fat, so something like that. But what I was going to say is, if you take your enzymes and you're doing okay and you're walking through it, then that's fine. But if your stools are fatty and oily, the only thing that's indicated, what is it, my radio go off? My fire went off on my TV, my fake fire. It's only 20 degrees here. Anyway, but if you have a bowel movement and it's real foamy, if it's green, if it's yellowish, and it is explosive, but it's greasy or fatty, then it just means it's undigested fats. So you're not getting the full one. The thing to be careful about that, when you're undigested fats.
Okay, she's taking super enzymes.
Yeah, now see, if you're taking super enzyme, if it's the Now brand, and guys don't shoot me up on this one, please, because I want to stay in the keto group. But if it's the Now brand, it's got hydrochloric acid in it. That could be your whole problem right there. It did on me. In fact, I've got a video in the Gallbladder Guru where I did a comparative of the Now reformulated. and it's got freaking hydrochloric acid in it, and it's got oxbile in it as well. And those two deals, the hydrochloric acid upset my stomach digestion because of what it is. So that's why I tell everybody, if you can get you can get an enzyme by itself, just an enzyme that's got all the lipase, amylase, protease, all the enzyme by itself, and then you can blend it yourself, i.e. take 2 pills of this, 1 pill of this, see how that works. If that doesn't work good and you still got oily stools, then take 2 of this and bring them together. Play and play and play and play. Okay, it's not the now brand. Okay. So the super enzymes, so the whole deal is just make sure that you've got an enzyme that's a standalone enzyme. That's what you want for yourself. So you can turn around with that enzyme and you can play with it. I've been down this road for 18 months, every day going through diarrhea, going through stomach cramps. And I mean, I went through a lot of it. I was having major, like Michelle was talking about a while ago, I was having attacks after my gallbladder had been taken out because of my freaking diet. I couldn't digest it right. And my liver, what really scared me one night was I'm laying on the couch and my liver, you could put my hand on the liver and it felt like a baby kicking. That tripped me out because my liver it was convulsing trying to push as much bile out that it possibly could because I'd just eaten a fatty meal. And again, like the doctors say, your body will adjust. Horse shit. Sorry. That's who I am. Well, guys, it's been an hour. It's a little bit over an hour. If you have any more questions, just keep filling this thing up if you got them. If this is a replay, fine. I mean, just throw questions down there. Again, if you want to go over to to the Gallbladder Guru fan page, there's a ton of information over there. I don't charge for any of that stuff. It's just a fan page. It's all it is. I mean, you can drop a comment wherever you want to. I don't care. But I'll answer your questions. I mean, to the best of my ability. And, I know what I went through, and I vowed I'll be damned I'm not going to let anybody else go through it in as much as I can if I can get on places like this and help. Because I can tell you, just as grateful as you are for me, I'm grateful for Jolene and for Michelle and for the Adapting to Keto website because the Facebook group, it's just been freaking awesome for me. I mean, it's just this eating, and we don't even call it a keto diet. This is our keto lifestyle. We're sold out. I mean, we're sold out all in because I've watched her change before my very eyes. I mean, and I can tell you, just like most women, she had trouble. She had issues trying to lose weight. She wanted to. Yeah. It wasn't like I was just being lackadaisical and lazy and I can't lose any weight. She was trying and she couldn't. And keto's just been freaking awesome for her. So, hey, you dropped a pant size in 2 months. 2 more months, she's going to be another one. And I dropped a pant size as well. I dropped a shirt size, so I'm getting rid of this, gut in front of me. But, guys, I'm going to let you go, and we appreciate you. And, again, throw some questions at me if you need me. So we'll see y'all later. All right. Bye-bye.